So, something unexpected appears to be stirring inside the royal family. A new claim suggests that Princess Anne may have uncovered a piece of jewelry connected to Princess Diana, an emerald bracelet that was reportedly found inside a private drawer belonging to Camilla. While some believe the bracelet could simply be part of a forgotten collection, others wonder whether its discovery could reveal something much more complicated about Diana's past and her relationship with the royal family. But how could Diana's missing emerald bracelet have ended up in Camilla's private drawer? And what happened when Princess Anne discovered it? So, what do you think? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. To help us create more videos and uncover the latest royal stories, please subscribe. Princess Diana's missing emerald bracelet. So, for years, Princess Diana's life has remained filled with stories that continue to attract attention long after her death. From her famous fashion choices to the jewelry she wore on important occasions, almost everything connected to her seems to carry a story of its own. And among the pieces that have sparked curiosity is a beautiful emerald bracelet that has become surrounded by mystery. What makes the story even more interesting is the claim that the bracelet seemingly disappeared from public view, leaving people wondering where it went and who may have had it all those years. The bracelet is said to have been connected to Diana during her years as one of the most watched women in the world. Emerald jewelry has always had a special place in royal fashion, and Diana was known for wearing pieces that could easily attract attention wherever she went. Her jewelry was not simply about looking elegant. Many of the pieces were connected to important moments, gifts, family history, or relationships. That is where this particular bracelet becomes so interesting. According to the story surrounding it, the emerald bracelet was seen during Diana's lifetime, but later became difficult to trace. Instead of continuing to appear at public events or exhibitions, it seemed to fade from view. There were no regular photographs showing it, and there was little public discussion about where it had gone. Naturally, that silence created room for questions. So, where could a valuable piece of jewelry connected to Princess Diana simply disappear to? Of course, disappearing from public view does not necessarily mean that something was stolen or secretly taken. Royal jewelry can be stored privately for many years, placed in secure collections, given to family members, or simply kept away from cameras. In some cases, the public may not even know who currently has possession of a particular piece. Still, that has not stopped people from wondering about Diana's emerald bracelet. Over time, different stories and claims have circulated about its possible location. Some have suggested that it could have remained within a private royal collection. Others have wondered whether it was passed between members of the family or kept safely in a private drawer or jewelry box. However, without clear records or reliable confirmation, these ideas remain part of the mystery rather than established fact. And this is where the story gets even more fascinating. Princess Diana was not just a member of the royal family. She was one of the most photographed women of her generation. Her clothes, handbags, necklaces, earrings, and bracelets were constantly examined by the public. When she wore something unusual, people noticed. When she stopped wearing something, people noticed that too. Because of that intense attention, the apparent disappearance of an emerald bracelet naturally raises eyebrows. There is also the question of time. If the bracelet really was kept somewhere privately for years, why was it not seen again? Was it carefully stored because of its value? Was it simply forgotten about? Or could it have been passed to someone who preferred to keep it away from public attention? At the same time, it is important to separate confirmed history from speculation. Stories about royal possessions can grow over the years, especially when photographs, records, and ownership details are limited. A claim repeated many times can eventually sound like a proven fact, even when there is little evidence behind it. What made Princess Diana's emerald bracelet so special to her? Was it more than just a piece of royal jewelry? Let's take a closer look. Hidden meaning behind the bracelet. So, let's understand Diana's attachment to the bracelet. For Princess Diana, jewelry was never simply about looking elegant. Many of the pieces she wore seemed to carry a deeper meaning, especially when they were connected to important people, special moments, or memories from different parts of her life. Among those pieces, emerald jewelry has often attracted attention because of its rich color and the way it appeared alongside some of Diana's most memorable royal looks. She was surrounded by valuable pieces after marrying into the royal family, but she did not always wear them simply because they were expensive. Diana often gave certain pieces a personal touch. She could combine traditional royal jewelry with more modern clothes, creating a style that felt elegant, but also very much like her. And that was one of the things that made Diana so different. She had a way of making formal royal jewelry feel personal. Instead of allowing every piece to define her, she often used jewelry to express her own personality. A necklace, pair of earrings, or bracelet could become part of the story she was telling through her clothes. This made some of her jewelry especially memorable to the public. Emeralds were particularly striking. Their deep green color gave them a classic and powerful appearance, while also making them stand out from diamonds and other stones commonly seen in royal collections. For Diana, pieces featuring emeralds could easily become linked with important occasions, official appearances, and moments when she was stepping into the public spotlight. But there was another side to these pieces. Jewelry can hold memories in a way that ordinary objects often do not. A bracelet worn during an important event can later remind someone of the people who were there, the emotions they felt, or the stage of life they were going through at the time. For Diana, who experienced enormous changes during her years as a member of the royal family, sentimental jewelry could have carried memories of both happy and difficult periods. Her royal years were filled with major milestones. She became a young bride, a mother, one of the world's most photographed women, and eventually someone who began building a stronger identity outside the traditional royal role. Throughout those changes, certain personal belongings remained reminders of the person she had been before the fame and the person she was becoming. So, when an emerald bracelet is connected to Diana, its importance goes beyond its appearance. The value of such a piece is not only measured by the stones, the craftsmanship, or its place in a royal collection. It can also be measured by the memories people associate with it. That is why jewelry connected to Diana continues to attract so much attention decades after her death. At the same time, it is important to separate confirmed history from stories that have grown around royal jewelry. Over the years, many claims about Diana's belongings have circulated, and not every story has been fully proven. A piece disappearing from public view does not automatically mean that something mysterious happened to it. Royal jewelry can be stored privately, passed between family members, placed in collections, or simply kept away from public events. Still, that uncertainty is part of what keeps people interested. An emerald bracelet linked to Diana can feel like a small window into a much bigger story. It brings together her love of fashion, her changing role within the royal family, and the emotional memories attached to the objects she wore. What might look like a beautiful bracelet on the outside could, in another sense, represent an entire chapter of Diana's life, and perhaps that is why these pieces remain so fascinating. Diana may have been surrounded by priceless royal treasures, but the jewelry that continues to capture people's attention is often the jewelry that seems to tell a personal story. The emerald bracelet, whether remembered as a treasured possession or discussed through later reports and speculation, has become part of that lasting fascination with Diana's life, style, and memories. What could Princess Anne have found hidden away in Camilla's private drawer? Why would a bracelet linked to Diana allegedly turn up in a private space connected to Camilla? Let's find out. Princess Anne's shocking discovery. So, this is where the story takes an unexpected turn. For years, the emerald bracelet linked to Princess Diana has been surrounded by questions, memories, and plenty of speculation. But one of the most dramatic claims suggests that the missing piece of jewelry may have been found in a place almost nobody would have expected, inside a private drawer connected to Queen Camilla. Now, it is important to be clear that this is an alleged story, not an established fact. There is no reliable public evidence confirming that Princess Anne actually found Diana's bracelet in Camilla's private drawer. Still, the claim has attracted attention because of the powerful names involved and the mystery surrounding the bracelet itself. According to the story, Princess Anne supposedly came across the bracelet during an unexpected search or while dealing with personal items kept in a private area. The details are unclear, which only makes the story more intriguing. Was Anne looking for something else? Did she have a reason to open the drawer? Or was the bracelet simply sitting there, hidden among other pieces of jewelry and personal belongings? After all, a private drawer is not exactly the kind of place where anyone would expect to find a piece of jewelry connected to Diana. A bracelet with such a strong royal history would normally be carefully recorded, stored, or displayed. So, if the claim were true, finding it tucked away in an ordinary drawer would raise even more questions. And then there is the connection to Camilla. Diana and Camilla have been linked to one of the most complicated chapters in the modern royal family's history. Their names have remained connected for decades because of Charles's relationship with both women. That history has often led people to look closely at anything that appears to connect Diana and Camilla. Because of that, the idea of Diana's missing bracelet turning up in a private space associated with Camilla sounds especially dramatic. It creates a story that seems to have all the ingredients of a royal mystery. An important piece of jewelry, a long disappearance, a private room, and an unexpected discovery by Princess Anne. But there is another interesting part of the story. Princess Anne has long been known for being direct and practical. She is not generally seen as someone who enjoys unnecessary drama. That makes the alleged discovery even more interesting to people who follow the royal family. If she really had found something connected to Diana, some might wonder whether she would have immediately recognized its importance. Perhaps she would have examined the bracelet closely. Maybe she would have asked where it came from. Or, if it was clearly recognizable, perhaps the discovery would have raised questions about how it ended up there in the first place. And that is where the mystery becomes even more fascinating. Diana's jewelry has always carried emotional meaning because many pieces were connected to important moments in her life. A bracelet associated with her would therefore be more than just an expensive object. For royal watchers, it could represent a small piece of Diana's personal history. So, the claim that Princess Anne allegedly uncovered, the bracelet in a private drawer connected to Camilla, certainly makes for a dramatic story. But until trustworthy records or direct evidence confirm what happened, it should be treated as an allegation rather than a proven royal secret. Why would Princess Anne suddenly take an interest in one of Diana's most mysterious pieces of jewelry? Could one forgotten piece of Diana's personal history have reopened an old royal mystery? Let's find out. Princess Anne's role in the mystery. Now, for someone like Princess Anne, a story about a missing piece of Princess Diana's jewelry would probably be hard to ignore, especially if that piece had a personal connection to the royal family. Anne has built a reputation over the years for being direct, practical, and very serious about her duties. She is not usually known for getting caught up in gossip or royal drama. Instead, she tends to focus on what needs to be done and what needs to be protected. That is one reason a story involving Diana's personal history could stand out to her. Diana was not just another member of the royal family. Her life, her relationships, and even the things she wore became part of the larger story of the monarchy. So, if a piece of jewelry connected to Diana suddenly turned up after years of being missing, it could naturally attract attention. And there is another important point here. Anne and Diana were very different in personality, but they were both part of the same royal world. They understood the pressure that came with being watched, discussed, and judged by the public. Their experiences were not identical, of course, but they both knew that even small personal items could carry a much bigger meaning. Anne is also known for having a strong sense of responsibility toward royal traditions. She has spent decades carrying out official duties and representing the monarchy. Because of that, she tends to take history and royal belongings seriously. Jewelry, connected to the royal family, is not always treated as ordinary decoration. Some pieces have been passed down through generations, while others are connected to important moments and relationships. So, when something linked to Diana comes into the picture, Anne might see more than just an expensive bracelet. she could see a piece of family history. Of course, claims about the bracelet being discovered in a private drawer connected to Camilla should be treated carefully. There is a difference between an online claim, a dramatic royal story, and something that has actually been confirmed by reliable evidence. Without solid proof, the details remain part of an alleged story rather than established fact. Still, the idea of Anne noticing such an item fits the image many people have of her. She is often described as someone who does not waste time with unnecessary drama. If something important came across her desk, she would be more likely to deal with the facts than spend time worrying about how the story might look. In that sense, the bracelet could have caught her attention because of what it represented. Diana's jewelry often carried emotional meaning. A bracelet, necklace, ring, or other personal item could remind people of a particular period in her life. For members of the royal family, these objects can also become part of the family's shared history. And then there is the emotional side of the story. Diana's relationship with the royal family remains a subject that attracts enormous public interest. Decades after her death, people still study her clothes, photographs, letters, jewelry, and memories. Anything that appears to reconnect her with the royal household can quickly become the center of attention. For Anne, however, the interest might not necessarily be emotional or dramatic. It could simply come down to responsibility. If a valuable piece of royal history had been misplaced, hidden away, or forgotten, she might want to know what happened to it. That practical attitude is perhaps what makes the alleged discovery so intriguing. While others might focus on the mystery surrounding Camilla or Diana, Anne could potentially focus on the object itself, its history, and where it belongs. At the same time, it is important not to turn an unverified story into a fact. There is currently a difference between saying that Anne allegedly discovered a bracelet and saying that she definitely did. Those details matter, especially when discussing real people and sensitive royal history. Could a piece of Diana's jewelry reveal a forgotten connection between her, Charles, and Camilla? And how close are they? Let's take a closer look. The connection between Diana, Charles, and Camilla. To understand why anything connected to Princess Diana, King Charles, and Queen Camilla can still attract so much attention, it helps to look back at the complicated history between the three of them. Their story has been discussed for decades, but even now, people remain deeply interested in the details. And when jewelry connected to Diana enters the picture, that interest can become even stronger. Princess Diana married the then Prince Charles in 1981. At the time, the wedding was seen as a huge royal event, watched by millions of people around the world. Diana was young, charming, and quickly became one of the most famous women on the planet. She seemed to have stepped into a fairy tale, but behind the public image, the marriage was far more difficult than many people first realized. Charles and Diana struggled with their relationship, and over time reports of problems within the marriage became impossible to ignore. Their different personalities, expectations, and pressures from royal life all played a part in the growing distance between them. At the same time, Camilla Parker Bowles was already an important figure in Charles's life. Charles and Camilla had known each other before his marriage to Diana, and their relationship remained a major part of the story surrounding the royal couple. This made the situation especially painful and complicated. As the years passed, the tension surrounding Charles, Diana, and Camilla became more public. Diana herself spoke openly about the difficulties she had faced, while the media closely followed every development. Her famous interviews and public appearances turned her personal struggles into a story that people around the world followed almost like a continuing drama. Then came the separation and, eventually, the divorce. Charles and Diana officially divorced in 1996. Even after their marriage ended, however, Diana remained one of the most closely watched members of the royal family. And this is where things become especially interesting when jewelry is involved. Diana's jewelry was never simply about expensive stones or beautiful designs. Many pieces carried personal meaning. Some were connected to important moments in her life, while others became strongly associated with her years as a member of the royal family. Because of this, a piece linked to Diana can represent much more than money. For many people, jewelry connected to Diana feels like a small piece of her personal history. That is why any claim involving one of her missing or rarely seen pieces can quickly attract attention. If the jewelry were somehow connected to Camilla, the story would become even more sensitive because of the complicated history between the two women. Of course, it is important to separate established facts from later claims and rumors. Stories about royal jewelry can sometimes grow as they are repeated, especially when they involve famous people and old family tensions. A claim that a particular piece was found in a private place should not automatically be treated as proven simply because it sounds dramatic. Still, the public fascination is easy to understand. Diana died in 1997, but her influence never disappeared. People continue to study her clothes, photographs, letters, friendships, and jewelry, because these things offer small connections to a woman whose life was lived under extraordinary public attention. Her sons, Prince William and Prince Harry, have also kept her memory alive in different ways. Meanwhile, Charles's relationship with Camilla eventually developed into something very different from the painful story of the past. The two married in 2005, and Camilla later became queen consort when Charles became king in 2022. Even with these changes, however, the history involving Diana has never completely faded. That is the key reason a discovery involving Diana's jewelry and Camilla would create such intense public interest. It would bring together several parts of a story that people have followed for decades: Diana's personal history, Charles' complicated relationships, Camilla's place in the royal family, and the emotional meaning attached to Diana's possessions. How did Anne respond to the discovery? What did she say? Let's find out. Anne's reaction to the finding, and this is where the story becomes even more interesting. According to the reports surrounding the alleged discovery, Princess Anne was not simply presented with an ordinary piece of jewelry. She supposedly came across an emerald bracelet connected to Princess Diana, a piece with a deeply personal history and a connection to one of the most talked about periods in the royal family's story. Of course, it is important to separate the reported story from confirmed fact. There is no clear public evidence proving that Anne actually found Diana's bracelet inside a private drawer connected to Camilla. Still, the claim has created plenty of curiosity because of the people involved and the history behind the jewelry. So, what was Anne's alleged reaction? Based on the way the story has been told, Anne supposedly took the discovery seriously. She is often described as someone who does not waste time when something needs to be dealt with. Unlike some members of the royal family who may choose to remain quiet or carefully avoid difficult subjects, Anne has a reputation for being direct and practical. That is what makes the alleged moment so intriguing. If she really did find a bracelet believed to have belonged to Diana, it would not have been easy to simply put it back and walk away. The jewelry would have carried memories of Diana's life inside the royal family, including years filled with public attention, family disagreements, and a very complicated marriage to Charles. And then there is Camilla. For decades, the relationship between Diana, Charles, and Camilla has remained one of the most sensitive subjects connected to the modern monarchy. Diana's marriage to Charles eventually broke down, while Camilla became increasingly important in Charles's life. Because of that history, any item belonging to Diana that was supposedly discovered among Camilla's private belongings would naturally raise questions. Perhaps that is why the alleged reaction from Anne has become such an important part of the story. The reports suggest that she may have been surprised, concerned, or even uncomfortable about what she had found. But exactly what she supposedly said remains unclear. There is no verified record of a private conversation in which Anne explained her thoughts about the bracelet. And that missing piece matters. Without a confirmed statement from Anne, people are left wondering what happened next. Did she ask where the bracelet came from? Did she question why it was in the drawer? Did she recognize it immediately? Or did she simply notice the jewelry and realize that it had a history that needed to be investigated? These are the questions that keep the story alive. At the same time, Anne's personality makes the imagined scene easy to picture. She has long been known for her straightforward approach, and her strong sense of duty. If something appeared to be connected to an important part of the royal family's past, she might naturally want to know the facts before making any judgment. But there may have been another issue. A discovery like this could potentially create tension between family members, especially if the item had been missing or believed to be somewhere else for years. Even if there was a simple explanation for how the bracelet ended up in the drawer, questions about its ownership, history, and journey could still make the situation uncomfortable. And when Diana's name is involved, public interest becomes even stronger. Diana remains one of the most remembered members of the British royal family. Her clothes, photographs, letters, and jewelry continue to attract attention decades after her death. Personal objects connected to her often carry emotional meaning, especially when they are linked to important moments in her royal life. And that is exactly where the mystery deepens. The alleged discovery is dramatic enough on its own, but the lack of a confirmed explanation leaves room for even more speculation. Anne's supposed reaction, whatever it may have been, could have been anything from simple surprise to serious concern. For now, however, the story remains an allegation rather than an established royal fact. Until credible evidence or a direct statement from those involved emerges, the details of what Anne supposedly found, what she may have said, and what happened afterward remain unanswered questions surrounding a fascinating royal mystery. So, what do you think about Princess Anne's shocking discovery of Diana's lost emerald bracelet in Camilla's private drawer? Share your thoughts with us in the comments section. Don't forget to like and subscribe.